Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, we can be talking about a lot of light because tomorrow there's going to be a full moon at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the traditional ruler of the 9th house of the higher mind, colleges and universities, philosophy, religion, long-distance travel, people from foreign countries, and all international bodies such as the World Court or the World Bank or the United Nations. So there can be quite an emphasis on people who are highly educated or who are in the judicial system, because Sagittarius does rule the courts, particularly judges. And so this can be a time when we are having to hopefully rise to our highest good. But the reason why, if you've been looking on our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title is Hardship. The reason why it's titled that is because we know that under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun. So if the moon is at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, that means it's opposing the sun at 22 degrees of Gemini. And when the sun and moon are opposing or squaring each other, that can be an indication of indecision or confusion. And that can lead to hardship, but that's not the kind of hardship I'm really talking about. And besides, by themselves, both the sun and the full moon are rather well aspected, which is good. The sun in Gemini is trining Mars in Libra, and Mars is direct right now. So that simply means that people can want to initiate some sort of quick fix to something. They may not want to go into depth or into lengthy discussions about something. They might just want to have some temporary fix on something, something that will hold at least for a little while and make things better. And so the sun and Mars are in a trine in air signs, which means communication can be certainly vehement right now, or it can be going on particularly about partnership, legal matters, or contract matters. The full moon in Sagittarius is being trined beautifully by Uranus in Aries, and Uranus rules sudden change and the future, and Aries rules new beginnings. So with Uranus trining that full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow, that simply means there could be a new beginning that could come out of nowhere. And it can be something that is directed towards someone who is very intelligent, or it may involve people from a foreign country, or it may involve negotiations in a foreign country, or even a legal decision that is made in a foreign country. So those planets are rather well aspected in fire signs. But the real hardship that I'm talking about that will affect us now is because there are two planets that are precisely and harshly squaring each other. And they are part of 5 planets in cardinal signs that are in a harsh grand cross right now. The 2 planets that are in such harsh aspect that it really will cause a little pain is Mars, which is at 13 degrees of Libra, and Pluto, which is at 13 degrees of Capricorn. Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, and because they are at the 13th degree, we know that that is a degree of hardship, and that is because when we reduce numbers, we add 1 and 3, and we get the number 4. A 13-4 is a Saturn number, and that means that you have to be on the square. You have to work really hard, in fact twice as hard as anybody else, for a lower amount of money, and that's the hardship. It simply means that there is a lot of difference between the high cost of living and what we can afford right now. And since Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fixed financial sign that rules money coming in from any other source, such as a partner or an employer, or it can rule money coming from inheritance or grants. It can rule an income tax refund, but Scorpio also rules debt and credit and loans and taxes. And so there can be a lot of pressure in those areas right now that can elicit some sort of hardship right now. And that is why, for instance, if you were a country that was already in debt and interest rates went up, it would be a lot more expensive and harder to pay off that debt, and that could happen to anybody. So this is a time when hardship can occur, and that is because of those two planets that are not only squaring each other, but Mars in Libra is opposing Uranus in Aries, and it is also squaring Jupiter and Mercury in Cancer. Pluto is opposing the planets in Cancer, and so those 5 planets are really very, very harshly aspected right now, but particularly Mars and Pluto in Scorpio. However, Mars and Pluto are not in Scorpio. They are the rulers of Scorpio. The planet that is in Scorpio, though, is aligned with them, not only because Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio, and they are at a Saturn number, a Saturn degree, but Saturn is in Scorpio, and it is retrograde, and it is the planet of delay, but also it represents hard work and rewards earned the hard way. And since it's a financial sign, it can indicate that there are scarce resources, and that can have quite an effect on people's budgets, particularly the budgets of large corporations and governments, and that's because Pluto is in Capricorn, and that's what Capricorn rules. So your career could be affected by something that is way beyond your control. As management is looking at the bottom line, they may have to determine that there has to be budget cuts right now or possible layoffs, and that could denote some sort of hardship in people's lives. And so we're entering a time when there can be somebody who's more broke than you think. And I hope that it is not you. And I also hope you have not been living on credit, because this is a time when your credit could really run out. Another thing that's happening in the financial signs is that there can be a betrayal right now, and it can involve a financial matter. And that is because Saturn in Scorpio is at 18 degrees of Scorpio, and it is precisely opposing Venus in Taurus, also at 18 degrees. When we add those digits, 1 plus 8 equals 9, 9 is the number of finishing. So there is some financial condition or investment matter or financing matter that is finished. It's done. And what I think that can mean is that whenever Venus and Saturn are opposing or squaring each other, it can indicate a betrayal. What kind of financial betrayal could you be undergoing right now? Well, if you've been buying anything on margin or on credit, I think the bill is now due. So that can create a hardship for you. But among leaders or corporations or countries, it can simply mean that somebody could be cooking the books. And if they have been cooking the books, overstating their values, for instance, then this is a time when they can be caught short. And so there can be hardship resulting from that. And that would come from the area of shadow banking through any country, but particularly a foreign country. Remember, this full moon is in Sagittarius, which rules foreign countries. And so somebody who is involved in funny money in one way or another could be caught short, and that could create hardship that could resonate throughout the world. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think you could want to make a quick escape right now. And luckily, that full moon tomorrow in Sagittarius is trining Uranus in your sun sign, and Uranus is the planet of sudden change. You may want to take a sudden trip, and it could be a rather long distance. Your travel plans would go rather smoothly right now, Aries, so I recommend that you get out of town. Or it can be that you have somebody coming as a visitor to see you from a long distance, and that would be rather pleasurable. There's also a possibility, though, since yours is a cardinal sign, and there are 5 planets caught up in a grand cross in cardinal signs, and 2 of them are Mars and Pluto, the planets causing financial hardship right now, that you could be the victim of some sort of a legal settlement that doesn't go in your favor, or there can be a breakup in a partnership, or the possibility of a canceled contract. So you need to watch out for those as well. If I were you, Aries, I would try to escape for a while, because I think there's too much pressure right now that can be beyond your control. So I'm not so certain that you can do anything about that. And that's why you may just want to go in a different direction. And since your sign does rule new starts, I urge you to make one. I think it would really give you a fresh lease on life, Aries. So I hope you give it a try. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when, remember I said there can be a betrayal and it can involve a financial matter. And the reason why it could be happening to you, Taurus, is because you do have Venus in your sign and it is your ruler. And that simply means you want the best for everybody, particularly for your loved ones, since you are a very good provider and a hard worker. So your heart's in the right place, Taurus. It's just that there can be mounting bills or higher taxes right now, since Saturn is opposing that Venus exactly. And so I think something is over in your life, Taurus. Now that might be all right. You might be on to greener pastures and better things right now, which would be fine. But it can also mean that something is over because you're done with it, or because it's just too costly and there isn't enough of a financial return to justify continuing. And so you need to sort of stop and think a little bit, because I think you could be caught short financially right now. And that is why, if you have been expecting something to save you, such as a raise or some sort of money coming in from a partner, I think that maybe you'd better try to have another plan in place instead, Taurus, because I think that that may not happen. It isn't because of you either, Taurus. It is because there can be hardship generated at a much higher level, and it can sort of trickle down and affect you as well, particularly if you're involved in any investments that have been overvalued. Because once the true value is discovered and their value diminishes, you could be facing a high cost of living for something that isn't worth it. And that's why you need to sort of reconsider right now, because I think there is a financial problem around, and as I said, it isn't your fault, but you will be faced with it, and that could represent some sort of hardship right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is not a good time to trust anybody. And the reason why is that, remember I said your sun at 22 degrees is exactly opposing that full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow, also at 22 degrees. And 22 reduces to 4, so it simply means that there can be a material matter involving something that has to do with money or possessions or the way you spend your time. You know, they say time is money, that you will have to reconsider, because somebody can be setting up high standards right now or demanding a better education or more training from you in order for you to do something, and you would have to consider whether that's worth it or not. I do think that you are not being told the whole truth about something, because Neptune in Pisces is also squaring your sun. So there are 3 planets in mutable signs in harsh aspect to each other, and that can sort of throw you off a little bit, Gemini, and that's why I wouldn't trust anybody right now. You don't have enough facts to make a clear decision. And remember, when the sun and the moon do oppose each other, it can cause confusion or indecision. So this is not the right time to take a gamble on anything, Gemini. I wouldn't do that. And in fact, you ought to sit back and sort of let the world go by right now and try to pick up better partners if you can, or settle a legal dispute, because it looks like you would profit from that at least. And that is because Mars in Libra is trining your sun, so give that a go. All right, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when, with the grand trine in water signs, meaning 4 planets in water signs which are all trining each other, when you could make a dream come true. And that is because I don't think that you are going to be as sorely affected by hardship as other people, because Mars and Pluto are squaring each other, that's true, and Pluto is opposing your sun sign, and Mars is squaring your sun sign, and Uranus in Aries is squaring your sun sign as well. So you are under pressure from other people who have very staunch ideas about what they want, and they're not willing to listen to you at all. What could the outcome be? It is possible that you may be undergoing some sort of cancellation of a contract, or there can be a partnership issue that is not working out to your satisfaction at all, or there can be somebody who's rather rebellious and just wants to start off in a new direction, and they're going to do it. There can also be demands put upon you by management in large corporations or by government policies that are not taking your feelings into consideration at all, Cancer. And for that reason, you have to realize that on the world stage, you may not get what you want right now, but among the people that really count with you, your family and your friends, and some sort of financial security, you do have all of that, Cancer. And you don't have any complaints. You do know who your friends are and where they're coming from. And for that reason, you can be very emotionally and somewhat financially secure right now. That Saturn in Scorpio is trining your sun. You could make a dream come true. You could move. You could move to a place far away, actually, since that full moon is in Sagittarius, which rules long distances. So, or you could go back to school. But I think that if you want to challenge the world right now, you won't win, Cancer. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. Count your blessings and thank your friends and your family for being there, because they're really in your corner and you're actually very popular. So you can be happy with that. And I think that's what's most important to you. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is simply a time when you could get very lucky, and that's because that full moon in Sagittarius is trining your sun, Leo, which is wonderful. But it is also trining Uranus in Aries, and that too is trining your sun. And that simply means that you could be encouraged by a very intelligent person who's well-educated and well-traveled, and maybe from a foreign country, or at least is very high-minded. And it could be a woman, since the moon does rule women, and it's in Sagittarius, which rules all those other things. And that person could be a backer of yours. That person could have faith in you, Leo, and decide that, you know, you're really worth something. And they may be instrumental in encouraging someone else to offer you something, an opportunity that would come right out of nowhere. It would be very sudden, or they would offer you something rather unique that would be just your style, Leo. So I think you're going to be real lucky under this full moon tomorrow in Sagittarius. And all I can say is, now, don't be surprised when something wonderful heads your way. And if it is unique and you've never thought of it yourself, well, someone else is thinking about it, so why don't you just say yes? It could really have quite a beneficial effect on your future, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is simply a time when you too should not be trusting anybody. In fact, your sign rules facts, so I would stick to them if I were you, Virgo. And the reason why is that that full moon in Sagittarius squares your sun, which means there can be decisions or people coming and going, perhaps even traveling a far distance. And whatever they have to say is based on their own sense of morality or their own high-minded principles. But it may not be based, it may be based more on theory than on fact, and you are a sign that likes to stick to the facts. So I would say don't believe everything that people are telling you right now, because, you know, saying something is not as effective as actually getting out and doing it. And you are a person that likes to see tangible results, and I don't think those are around quite at the moment. Also, the sun in Gemini is squaring your sun, which means you should not pay attention to any gossip right now, because you're just not getting the whole truth about that. And Neptune is opposing your sun sign. So this is not a time to trust anything that you hear or even read, but instead stick to what you do well. Venus in Taurus is trining your sun, and Pluto in Capricorn is also trining your sun. Both of those planets are under duress right now, but they're in good angle to your sun sign, Virgo. And so what I think you should do is stick to what you do well, mind your own business, and try to stay out of conversations that don't have anything to do with facts and figures or the bottom line, because that's what you excel at. And that's why you really need to stick to just working right now and put blinders on everything else, Virgo. It's not going to do you any good to talk to too many people right now. You won't get the whole story anyway. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when you can really be caught up in some sort of entanglement, and certainly you are going to be facing the possibility of a hardship. And the reason why is that there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs all squaring and opposing each other, and yours is a cardinal sign. But Mars is in your sign at 13 degrees, exactly squaring Pluto in Capricorn, also at 13 degrees. Your sign rules partnership. Capricorn rules big business and work and retirement as well. It rules hard work done over a long period of time for rewards. Those things are being challenged right now because there isn't enough money around, or there are too many debts. And so people who are facing debts or loans or have extended their credit are in trouble. That could be you, Libra, or it could be a partner of yours who could be facing some financial hardship. And so what you've got to remember is that the more you reach out and discuss this with other people, the sooner you'll come up with a solution. And that is because the Sun in Gemini is trining Mars in your own sign. There's just a lot of pressure on you right now, and you could want to suddenly escape, but it takes money even to do that, Libra. And so what I think you should do is seek some counseling from people who may be able to give you good advice instead. Because if it isn't you, it's somebody pretty close to you that is going to be undergoing financial hardship. And for that reason, I would stand fast if I were you. Try to cut your costs as much as possible and try to sell something. Try to advertise and sell something, and that might give you a little sort of a quick fix to a financial situation that's troublesome right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, what it means for you is that I think that you are going to have to be content with knowing that you can afford to make a dream come true. Or if you have your mind on a move, yes, you can afford to move. There may be confusion and indecision among a lot of people right now because the Sun and the Moon are opposing each other. So I'm not saying that you're at your final destination, Scorpio. But there is the possibility, since your rulers are in such harsh aspect to each other and they denote hard work done for very scarce resources, that some people can be involved in some sort of betrayal, and it's financial. Meaning that if you have any investments, you may discover, much to your dismay, that someone has been cooking the books or doesn't have the money that they led you to believe they do have. And so you could be a little bit set back or disillusioned. There's also the possibility, though, since there's a grand trine in water signs, that there can be help from family and friends, a lot of it right now. And so that can make you happy. I think you're going to have to use your past experience to solve a problem right now. You're not going to be defeated at all, but you can be surrounded by other people who are facing financial hardship. I'm not so sure you are, Scorpio, but others are. And I would say there's not much you can do to fix it, except just try to be loyal. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, the full moon is in your sun sign tomorrow, and so Sagittarius, I don't think you should believe a lot of people either, and you certainly can be confused or thrown off or a little bit disorganized right now and not know which direction to turn in, and that's because Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun and the Sun in Gemini is opposing it. But actually, with that wonderful Uranus in Aries trining your sun, there could be a new opportunity coming right out of the blue for you, Sagittarius. And that would certainly be wonderful for you. Or there could be very good news about a child or a sporting event. Or there is the possibility that if there is a new opportunity, it is something that you've done before that you could do with your eyes closed. And so if I were you, I'd just go ahead. Because behind the scenes, there can be mounting financial hardship or pressure that you do need to solve. And so I would take anything that was offered right now if I were you, Sagittarius. And there's a lot of light on you right now, but it's favorable. And that's why I think you should get out and let people know you're willing to try anything. Well, good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time when I think you are under great pressure. And the reason why is there's a financial matter that has to be solved, and it's a little bit hard to do it. It could be that the money's going out quicker than it's coming in, and that is due to the high cost of living. You know, prices have gone up. Who said there's no inflation? It's everywhere. There aren't any prices that have come down at all. And so you may be faced with some sort of loan or some sort of financial matter that has got to be resolved. And so you're going to have to sort of redo your budget in some way, Capricorn, and be real serious about it. If there is an investment you can sell, that is how you could generate a quick fix to some financial matter. But you may also have to consider a move. So there's a lot of problems that could be pressuring you right now, Capricorn. Just remember, you know, you do have expensive tastes. Maybe you should lower them a little bit and really try to shrink your budget right now so that you are not vulnerable to any financial setbacks. And that's why if you can sort of stop spending money right now, Capricorn, that would be a good idea. All right, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, for you, what it means is that you are, I'm sorry, we're not in a soundproof studio, so I'll speak a little louder. Aquarius, this is a full moon that can certainly benefit you because it sextiles your sun, and that simply means that you are going to be able to perhaps take a nice trip or travel, or people can be coming to see you, which would be great. You also can advertise and buy and sell right now, and that would do you a lot of good because the financial hardship may have to do with actual things that you cannot afford right now, Aquarius. So if I were you, I'd just quit dreaming about them and put your wish list away for right now and enjoy the simpler things in life which you can do. Okay, and what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you too can be confused or caught off guard, and that is because the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow is squaring your sun, and the sun in Gemini is also squaring your sun, so I don't know who you can believe, except your friends and family, because there is a grand trine in water signs. So I think you've already faced some sort of financial hardship, Pisces, and actually things can be getting a little bit more solid and better for you. Maybe it's because you have trimmed your budget, or maybe it's because you found somebody that can share costs with you, and that's always a good idea. So you can be secure in the backing of your family and friends right now. It's just I wouldn't believe any gossip, and I wouldn't believe anybody's high-minded theories right now because they may not be based in fact, and it's the facts that we all have to live with right now. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see our show anytime you want on our website, starborninstitute.org, and you can subscribe there so that you can get the shows sent to you, and then you can see them at your convenience. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next week. Bye.